All right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking how a single explosive statement is literally sending shockwaves across the entire Middle East. We're looking at a situation where the geopolitical chessboard is just being completely flipped, and the absolute center of gravity here is a single fragile waterway. We're going to break down exactly how recent threats from Donald Trump directed at Oman are actively upending regional stability, and we'll be using reports straight from the region to figure out what's happening right now. Look, the sheer unprecedented nature of this statement is exactly why this is so critical. Historically, the United States and Oman, they've been incredibly close allies. Oman has basically acted as the quiet, reliable peacekeeper of the Middle East for decades. But now we have this direct, highly public threat of military destruction from Donald Trump if Oman doesn't comply with U.S. demands on maritime traffic. I mean, blow them up? That's a massive escalation. This one quote is acting as the true epicenter of a rapidly unfolding geopolitical crisis. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The battle for the Strait. 2. U.S.-Iran military escalation. 3. The Abraham Accords dilemma. And 4. Oman's historic neutrality tested. Starting right off with part 1, the battle for the Strait. Let's look at the immediate trigger here. Think about this for a second. The stakes we're talking about are absolutely massive. Roughly 20% of the entire world's oil supply passes right through this one choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. It is literally the jugular vein of the global economy. So, when we're talking about threats and military escalation in this specific area, we're really talking about your gas prices, global shipping costs, and international economic stability, because every single ship passing through there right now carries the looming threat of conflict. Okay, so how on earth did we get to the point of threatening to blow up a sovereign nation? Well, the friction kicked off with these reports surfacing in Iranian media about a rumored draft agreement. The rumor was that Iran and Oman might set up a joint maritime traffic control and toll system in the Strait of Oman. But Washington is vehemently rejecting this. Trump's outburst was actually a direct response to a question about that very rumor. The U.S. is demanding that the strait remains international waters, completely open to everyone, zero localized control, zero tolls. They see any joint system there as a direct challenge to global maritime control. Now, you might be thinking, was that just an off-the-cuff remark? A slip of the tongue, maybe? Actually, scratch that. It looks completely deliberate. If you thought maybe he confused Oman for Iran, the actions of the broader administration tell a very different story. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent actually went ahead and repeated the threat in a tweet. Plus, the White House released the official video and transcript of the cabinet meeting without a single correction or retraction. So, yeah, this appears to be a calculated, deliberate pressure campaign that Washington is standing firmly behind. Which brings us to part 2, U.S.-Iran military escalation. Because this diplomatic standoff, it's definitely not happening in a vacuum. It is playing out alongside active live combat. Just look at how fast this escalated. Step 1. U.S. officials report Iran sent 4 one-way attack drones to target an American commercial ship in the Hormuz area. Step 2. U.S. CENTCOM forces intercept those and launch direct retaliatory airstrikes on Iranian drone units and missile sites near Bandar Abbas. And Step 3. Despite recent ceasefire efforts, Iran struck right back, hitting the Al Salam U.S. airbase in Kuwait. We are talking about direct, cross-border military strikes happening right now. And right in the middle of this back-and-forth military exchange, Iran immediately seized on the U.S. threat to Oman. Esmail Baghaei, the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, explicitly stated that Tehran stands in solidarity with Oman. They are sending a crystal-clear signal. Any American pressure on Oman is no longer just a bilateral issue between Washington and Muscat. Tehran views it as a threat to the entire region, which is dragging Oman even deeper into this incredibly dangerous tug-of-war. Moving on to part 3, the Abraham Accords dilemma. Let's zoom out a bit. Donald Trump is simultaneously using this highly volatile moment to pressure neighboring Arab and Muslim nations into joining the Abraham Accords and formally recognizing Israel. But look at the complications for these regional players. It's practically an impossible dilemma. Saudi Arabia is hesitant because they demand a separate Palestinian state first. Qatar is a strongly pro-Palestine mediator, so that's extremely unlikely. Turkey is fiercely opposed and critical of Israel's actions in Gaza. And Pakistan? They don't even officially recognize Israel. Joining the accords just to appease U.S. pressure would force these countries to abandon their deep-rooted domestic and regional stances. And as if navigating that U.S. pressure wasn't hard enough, Iran has made its own position chillingly clear. They've warned that any country formalizing ties with Israel will be considered an open enemy. So for these Arab nations, joining the Abraham Accords isn't just about facing political backlash at home anymore. It literally paints a direct military target on their backs from Tehran. And finally, part 4, Oman's historic neutrality tested. We really need to focus on the country caught directly in the crosshairs here. To truly grasp the shock of this situation, you have to look at Oman's resume. For decades, Oman has been the indispensable neutral mediator of the Middle East. They're the ones who quietly hosted the secret nuclear negotiations. They serve as the vital backchannel when the US and Iran literally refused to speak to each other. They actively facilitated the very ceasefire talks that are now unraveling. It's a masterful, delicate balancing act, and it is exactly what Washington's threats are currently jeopardizing. Now, while the Omani government has officially kept quiet, the people absolutely have not. This response from an Omani citizen went viral, and it perfectly captures the local mood. It's just a steadfast refusal to be intimidated. They emphasize their deep history, their firm sovereignty, and an unwavering commitment to peace that isn't dictated by the threats of foreign superpowers. It really grounds this massive geopolitical chess match in a profound sense of national resilience. So, what should you take away from this explainer? The Middle East is sitting on a powder keg right now, and the fuses are being lit from multiple ends. As every single ship passing through the Strait of Hormuz carries the real threat of war right alongside its cargo, we have to ask ourselves, is this extreme diplomatic and military pressure going to spark a devastating, wide-scale Middle East conflict, or will it shatter the old rules and force the creation of an entirely new maritime and diplomatic system in the region? Whatever happens, the outcome is going to impact us all.